Christopher Robin.
So, what makes me cranky about Christopher Robin? The computer-generated stuffed animals. I know there are a few of you out there, including Lady Rex, who think they're super cute and all, but seriously, these things are incredibly unsettling. They look like the kind of thing you'd see in a horror movie from the 80s, not a Winnie the Pooh movie for kids. This Winnie the Pooh looks like he's gonna start murdering people at any moment. All of a sudden, he's just gonna emerge from the shadows chanting, hum-dum-de-dum, hum-dum-de-dum, I'm so rumbly in my tumbly. Then Christopher Robin would run away screaming, and Pooh would sigh, oh bother, and start stalking after him like Jason Voorhees or something. I mean, we have actual Pooh Bear stuffed animals that look like the character and yet are still plainly stuffed animals, so I don't know why we needed to make Pooh and his friends look like something out of Tim Burton's nightmares. It made it really hard to just go with the flow of this movie because I kept waiting for a slasher flick to break out in the middle of it or something. Hell, I half expected Tigger to pounce on Haley Atwell, put one of his claws up to her face, and be like, hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo, you wanna know the wonderful thing about Tiggers? Even at the end, all I could think of is how much more sense this movie would make if the whole thing was actually Christopher Robin's descent into madness, ultimately resulting in him being locked away in a mental institution because he's so far gone he actually believes he's frolicking through the 100-acre wood. The last shot of the movie should be Ewan McGregor mumbling about red balloons and smearing honey all over his face as Haley Atwell looks in through the window of his padded cell with tears in her eyes. If nothing else, it would at least explain the ease with which these characters accept that not only are the stuffed animals sentient, they're the same ones Christopher Robin played with as a child, and the 100-acre wood is a real place you can access by crawling through a tree. It'd probably be a much more interesting tale, too, since the actual story of the movie is just one tired cliche after another. Christopher Robin grew up to be a humorless workaholic adult who neglects his family. And he's got a selfish asshole boss who keeps giving him virtually impossible tasks because he secretly wants to fire Robin and all his coworkers in order to save some shillings. So of course in his darkest hour, Pooh shows up to help poor Christopher Robin rediscover his inner child and find a way to reconnect with the family he's been putting aside for so long. Hijinks ensue, yada yada yada, we've all seen this one a million times before. It's not even a particularly good version of it. We don't spend too much time with anyone other than Pooh and Robin, which is probably a good thing since Piglet's voice never sounded quite right to me. And there's a subplot or two that just really go nowhere. Even the solution to Robin's latest work crisis makes absolutely no sense and has very little to do with his journey to reclaim his childlike wonder with Pooh and company. Of course, it is a perfect ending if you imagine that this is actually the fever dream of a man in the midst of a complete mental breakdown thanks to the stress of his job activating an underlying psychological condition. Despite that stuff, though, Christopher Robin's not without its charm. Pooh's antics definitely made me chuckle a number of times, and it had the kids in our theater cracking up laughing, which is usually a good sign for a family movie. Obviously, I thoroughly enjoyed Eeyore's grumbling as well, since he's a man after my own heart, and probably the least creepy looking of all the animal characters too. Believe it or not, it also does have a way of tugging at the heartstrings a little, particularly during the opening montage, which covers Christopher Robin's journey to adulthood. There's always something sad about watching the world slowly squeeze the childlike wonder out of a person. And the movie spends a lot of time hitting all of the bullseyes of regret, from missing old friends to just being unsatisfied with how your life turned out, compared to how you wish it would be. After all, who among us wouldn't want a silly old teddy bear to help us find our way back to a simpler time? Well, not this particular one, because he's creepy as hell, but you know what I mean. In any case, when you've got solid actors like McGregor and Atwell and the score hits the right notes like it does, there's a pretty good chance it'll get a few good jabs into your feels once in a while. So if you're looking for a family-friendly experience this weekend, it wouldn't hurt to catch Christopher Robin in the theater. But if you don't have kids and you don't really care about Winnie the Pooh, then frankly you won't be missing anything if you wait to watch this when it's on TV sometime. Because like I said, you've seen this story before and it's been done much better. That's what I thought about Christopher Robin anyway. Let me know what you thought of those horrifying computer-generated animals in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to know about my next trip to the 100-acre wood, subscribe to the channel for more reviews.